In this video, I'm going to give you a checklist to start your private practice. It's a streamlined checklist. I think there's a lot of information out there that gives you like tons of stuff that really you don't need to do, especially at the beginning when you're trying to build a practice. First thing is get an office or don't. If you're doing telehealth, then obviously you don't need a physical office, but you do need an office in your home where it's quiet and etc. The physical office is tricky because a lot of people don't like doing therapy online, especially everything's online now and they just want to break from that. They want to do a physical session, and that makes sense. But if you're doing telehealth, especially at the beginning and nothing else, then you're going to lose out on a piece of the market. At the beginning, you need to get pieces everywhere you can. You need to be seen and have access to people as much as you can until you build your practice, and then you can go into something else. I would say if I were doing it to begin with, I'd probably do a physical practice first, and then I would add telehealth to it a little bit later after I've established some sort of consistency as far as money too. Need insurance. You need insurance because when you apply to be on some of the insurance panels, they will ask you for insurance. I think the cost is minimal. It's $125 a year or something like that. I'll link the insurance company that I use on the notes. You need an address, and the reason you need an address, I mean, telehealth, you would think you don't need an address. You might not want to put your home address for everybody to see, but you need an address for SEO purposes. Now, SEO just means that what you do in order to get ranked first, second, third in Google. In order to get on what they call the map pack, where people search, hey, therapists in so-and-so area, and right away the therapists that first show up are the people that are in this map. And so they call that the map pack. But in order to get into the map pack, you need a physical address. So get one. You don't have to get a full-time one. You can get like even a half-day physical address where you can use that address for business purposes, and then you can also see a client there if you ever need to. And probably a good idea to see one or two to just make sure that you're being congruent with Google saying that you do have a physical address and you do see clients there. You need a phone number, or else, I don't know how they're going to contact you. The phone number needs to be associated with the town or the area that you are providing services in, because again, for SEO purposes, Google likes to see that it makes it more like you're more legit if you actually have a phone number that, that resembles the area that you're in. And so if the future, I think, is going to be where therapists are practicing in many different states. So if you're going that way, there are providers. I use phone.com to, have several phone numbers, one for each area that you're in. Get an email address. You definitely need an email address. I would suggest using your business name at Gmail. That would be the best. It's really easy to remember for your clients. Get a professional headshot. And it doesn't have to be like out of this world, but at least something that people will be drawn to trust you. Because the first thing that they're going to look at is that picture, and they're going to judge you in milliseconds about whether you're trustworthy or not. And the picture is it. The picture is the thing that gives us the vibes, which will help say, oh, okay, let me read more. But if your picture is bad, right away there's a no, and there's no more reading more. You need an NPI, what people call an NPI. It's a number that just on any type of paperwork that you have to do as a therapist, whether it's licensure or insurance or anything else, they'll ask you for an NPI number. I think it's like National Provider Identification, right? It's really easy to get. Just Google how to get an NPI. You'll need it. Save the number, and you'll be asked many times for it. People say that you should get an EIN, which is kind of like a social security number for businesses. It's the way that you get taxed through the IRS. You don't need an EIN at the beginning. You just need your social security number, and you definitely don't need to go and do an LLC, even though they say that protects you legally from any type of lawsuits. I'm not so sure what the truth of that is, and especially, you're just starting out. Do you really have like $20 million that people can take a shot at you? So those are the things you want to think about. Like, is it worth this money? Just because people say to do it doesn't mean that it's the best thing to do at this point in time. You can get an EIN later on when you're making much more money, and then you need to go into probably what I would suggest an S corp rather than an LLC. There's more. LLC doesn't really give you anything. Yeah, so you don't need an EIN. Just use your social security number, and do your taxes as a business entity that you're running through your personal social security number. You need to set your fee. This is really hard. I mean, it took me forever to think that I was worthy of like more than, I don't know, $80 an hour. And it it stops you. It stops you from getting the money that other people are getting, actually. So that's what you want to think about. What are other people in my situation, in my area, getting for at the beginning? And that's where you want to set your rate. You want to be competitive in your rates. You don't have any clients yet, so you need to get some clients. And the best way to draw them in is to have a lower rate, get some practice, get some experience, and then you can raise your rates. You need a website. You just do for everything. So I did it all myself. I don't know. I like doing it. I'm just so inclined. So I've done all of it. And but you can hire somebody, even though it's really expensive. I think using a place like Square, you can set up a website super quick. And if you're not inclined like I am, or you don't have the money to pay for it, I would go that route. You need to Google My Business. It's the only way you're going to rank what people call the map pack. And the map pack is, when you Google something like restaurant and blah, 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 and you'll see these restaurants next to the Google Maps. That's what they call the map pack. And so in order to it's really good to be in the map pack when you think about it, especially if you're 1, 2, or 3, because people will click on it, and more so than if your name isn't on there, for example. So to get on there is important. And the only way you can get on there is having your Google My Business set up. And so super easy. Again, go on YouTube. How do I set up my Google My Business account? Get listed on therapy listservs. The most popular one is Psychology Today. Everybody's heard of that. Everybody's on that. It's like $30 a month. It is good, in my opinion, only when there's not a lot of competition. When there's a lot of competition, you have no control over whether you're going to sit on page 1 or page 30. No one is going to scroll through 30 pages to find anybody. So I don't know. And plus, they don't give you what we call a link to your website. They don't link to your website. They don't tell Google, hey, this website is legit. You should also think it's legit. They don't do that. And it's really important to have links to your website, because if you have links to your website, that tells Google that other people think that you're legit. And so Psychology Today doesn't do that, and every other listserv probably does. So people are paying money just to get noticed, and so if you're not getting noticed, then it's not worth the money. I have Psychology Today on 2 of my locations, but not on the other for that reason. There are plenty of other listservs that really can make a difference. Like even local, like in Portland, that's their Portland Therapy Center. They give you a link. A lot of people find you through there. They come up first when people are searching for therapists. So that's a good one. Any local ones that you have, and as well, Good Therapy is good. They give you a link back, and you can also write articles for them. So anytime you can find a link back to your website, it's a good thing. Create some sort of system to, like, when people reach out to you, let's say they write you an email, what kind of email do you write them back, and what do you say? I typically say, hey Chris, thanks for reaching out. I'm attaching some paperwork for you to read and fill out. If you have any questions, just reach out or just let me know. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Then I attach the paperwork, and they send it back. Everybody does this differently. I am pretty minimalistic because I don't gather my information from paperwork. I gather it from meeting them face-to-face. Not face-to-face, but virtually face-to-face. So mine just says name, address, phone number, that type of sort of thing, and then a little bit about the presenting issue. I also attached the HIPAA form where they sign that form, as well as a form that's required by your state association, saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I charge, and if you have any problems and concerns, you can call the state regulatory agency. Choose the platform where you're going to meet. If you have telehealth, I would say I use Zoom. It's HIPAA compliant. Everybody uses it, so that has worked just fine. How do you keep your client records? I write on a notebook during session, the notes. Then I keep my notebooks, and you should probably keep them in a locked place. As far as the intake forms, they're all on my computer, which is password protected. So it's very simple. A lot of people use a service where you can write notes and they'll do the billing for you. But for me, that wasn't worth the money, and it was also very constraining for me because they wanted a lot more information than I really need. And so just to be on their system, I had to spend more time giving them extra information that I wouldn't have had needed to begin with. So that's one thing. And then, I don't know, it's kind of creepy that all your records are somewhere else. So I just keep them very simple, just write them out and keep them on my computer. Determine your policies. Another thing I have not done either, because I don't have any late or no show policies. I found people to be totally reasonable and they don't take advantage in general, maybe one or two, but out of all the people that you see, that's not a big deal. So they're super respectful. I think they know that if they cancel the same day that they're coming to therapy, that they'll be charged. They also know that if they email me and say, hey, I'm sick, or my kid is sick, or something has happened, right, that life happens, and I'm not going to charge them for life happening. Now, if it happened many times, then maybe there would be an issue, but I haven't had that problem with people. So I've been lucky in that area. And so that's why I don't really write down any policies, even though it wouldn't take very much to do. Ensure your practice is HIPAA compliant. I kind of talked about that already. Make sure the services you're using are HIPAA compliant. And so that's important. Set up an online booking system. Oh my God, that changed everything a lot for me. And I think it's because, I don't know if you've ever had the experience of being depressed or going through a really hard time. Your emotional resources are tapped out, and the more barriers you have in order to find help, more likely it is that you don't get to ask for help. So removing the barrier of having to call and email and then wait for a response, and it's just a quick button on scheduling, I think is helpful for people to have. So yeah, that really makes a difference. The other thing is create a marketing plan. I have a video, I'll attach the link to it on how to do this. You want to have people know that you're there. That's the most important part, because if you have all this beautiful stuff to give, yet people don't know where you are because in some way you don't want to be that person that markets themselves, then nobody's going to be able to reach you and gain whatever it is that you have to give to them. If you're going to get on insurance panels, and I think it's a good idea at the beginning, make sure it's an insurance company that's easy to work with and pays you a reasonable rate. And how do you get that information? It's not by the insurance company, by the way, because they won't be able to tell you any of how they compensate you until you go through a whole bunch of paperwork. You're going to have to get it from people that you know or online of how much sort of is this insurance company paying for this service, so that you get an idea, and you do also get an idea how easy or hard they are to work with.